The stadium thundered with applause as graduates tossed their caps into the air, a sea of smiles, laughter, and proud tears. Except for me. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. When my name echoed through the loudspeakers, Avery Donovan, summa cum laude. The room that had been bursting with noise suddenly fell quiet in my corner. No cheers. No clapping. No family waving back at me. Row F, seat 12, the spot I'd reserved for my mom. Empty. Seat 13, my dad's. Empty. The ones beside them, meant for my sister and grandparents, also empty. I stood there, holding my diploma, forcing a polite smile as if it didn't sting. But inside, it felt like my chest was splitting open. The girl next to me whispered, "Where's your family?" I swallowed hard. "Busy," I said. They had other plans. She looked sorry for asking. But I didn't need pity. I'd grown used to being the invisible one. After the ceremony, when everyone ran into their parents' arms, I walked straight to the parking lot alone. My cap hung limp in my hand. The sky was golden, yet it felt colder than December. Then my phone buzzed. It was Mom. A notification, not a message. So proud of my daughter, the real achiever. Her success party is just beginning. The picture hit harder than any words could. My mom and dad beaming beside my sister, Vanessa, under glittering fairy lights. She was holding a champagne glass and a fake golden trophy that read, Employee of the Month. A success party. On my graduation day. The caption had nearly 200 likes already. Aunt Carol commented, "Your girls are amazing. Vanessa is truly gifted." Someone else wrote, "Where's Avery?" Mom replied, "Oh, she's busy with her little projects." My hands trembled. My little projects. I wanted to throw my phone, to scream, but I didn't. I just laughed quietly to myself, the kind of laugh that burns on its way out. Then I opened my laptop. 3 unread emails glowed on the screen, all from companies I'd been negotiating with for months in secret. Harper and Lowell Publishing. We'd like to officially extend our partnership offer. Riverbend Media. Your novel concept has strong film potential. Lithouse Digital. 3-book deal proposal attached. Please review and sign. The cursor hovered over the first signature box. I whispered under my breath, "You can keep your parties. I'm building an empire." Click, click, click. 3 digital signatures later, I leaned back in my chair, heart pounding, eyes damp, not from sadness this time, but something sharper. They missed my graduation to toast my sister's success. That's fine, because by morning, the real achiever in this family wouldn't need their applause at all. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the blinds of my small apartment. My graduation gown still hung by the door, untouched, wrinkled, forgotten. I sat on my couch, coffee in one hand, laptop in the other, staring at the signed contracts glowing on the screen. That's when my phone rang. Mom. I stared at her name flashing for a full 5 seconds before answering. "Hey," I said flatly. "Oh, honey." Her voice was bright, too bright. "You must have been so busy last night. We tried calling." "No, you didn't." She paused, clearing her throat like she hadn't heard me. "Anyway, you wouldn't believe Vanessa's event. The investors loved her pitch. Everyone said she's destined for greatness. You should have seen her in that dress." "Yeah," I interrupted. "I saw. On Facebook." Silence. A heavy one. Then her voice dropped to that sharp tone I'd known since childhood, the one that came right before every insult wrapped as advice. "Don't sound jealous, Avery. Your sister's just ambitious. You'll find your thing too." I exhaled slowly, steadying my voice. "My thing, Mom, is building something that doesn't require your permission." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said calmly, "I'm done trying to impress people who only clap when it's convenient." She sighed, muttering something under her breath about attitude problems, before hanging up. I sat there in the silence that followed, and smiled. Because while they were too busy worshiping Vanessa's fake success, I had just closed 3 real deals. The world didn't know my name yet, but it would. 2 weeks later, I found myself standing in the sleek, glass lobby of Harper and Lowell Publishing, the very same company that had rejected my internship application 3 years ago. A young assistant greeted me. "Miss Donovan, Mr. Harper is ready for you." As the elevator doors opened, I caught my reflection in the mirrored walls, not the quiet, overlooked girl from graduation, but someone sharper, confident, determined. Inside the office, Richard Harper, late 50s, silver hair, calm eyes, rose to shake my hand. "I've been reading your manuscript," he said with a grin. "And if this is truly based on real experiences, you're sitting on a bestseller." I smiled faintly. "It's not based on one event. It's based on years of being underestimated." He chuckled, signing the final document. "Then let's make sure the world knows your name." When I walked out, the city air felt electric. I looked up at the skyline. The same skyline my mom used to say I'd never reach. This was my start. That night, as I returned home, I scrolled through social media again. My mom had just posted another photo. Camera with flash, Vanessa's firm officially partnered with Rivera Designs. "Our little star keeps shining." I noticed the comments. "What about Avery? Didn't she graduate yesterday?" Mom replied again, "Avery's focused on smaller projects. Vanessa's our pride." My thumb froze on the screen. I didn't cry. Not anymore. The sting had burned itself out. Instead, I whispered, "Keep talking." Because while they bragged about borrowed success, my inbox was lighting up again, from streaming executives, international publishers, and one message that made my pulse quicken. Subject: film rights. Urgent discussion. I leaned back, smiling in the dim glow of my laptop screen. They could post their parties, their praises, their pictures. I didn't care anymore. The girl they called a dreamer with no direction was about to sign something that would change her entire bloodline's definition of success. And this time, they'd have no choice but to notice. 2 months later, I was sitting in a downtown cafe across from a news anchor from Morning Pulse Live. She was mid-30s, sharp-suited, and smiling like she already knew I was a story waiting to explode. "So, Avery Donovan," she said, adjusting her mic, "the girl whose family skipped her graduation is now the youngest author to sign a $3 million publishing deal. How does that feel?" Her words hit like thunder. $3 million. I still hadn't said it out loud. "It feels," I said slowly, "like I finally graduated from needing anyone's approval." She laughed softly. "That's powerful. And I heard the contracts include film rights." "Yes," I said, holding my smile steady. "A studio reached out after reading my book online. They said it reminded them what resilience looks like." "What inspired you to write it?" My answer came easily. "Being invisible." The studio lights dimmed slightly as the cameraman nodded, signaling the end of the segment. She leaned closer, voice low. "You know, your story's going to blow up online. You should prepare for some family attention." I laughed under my breath. Let them scroll. When the interview aired that night, my phone lit up like fireworks. Notifications, messages, tags, people congratulating me, journalists requesting follow-ups. My book's title trended on Twitter within hours. And then, at 8:47 p.m., my mother called. "Avery? What is this I'm seeing on TV?" I stood by the window, watching the city glow beneath the night. "It's my work, Mom. You know, those little projects I've been wasting time on." "Don't start with that tone," she snapped. "You could have told us. We could have helped you promote it, made it something professional." I almost laughed. "You couldn't even show up for my graduation." "That was different." "No," I cut her off. "It wasn't. You made a choice that day. And so did I." The silence on the line was heavy, strained. Then she spoke, softer now. "Your father and I are proud of you." "Now you are," I said quietly. "Because the world is." She tried to recover. "Don't be dramatic, Avery. We've always believed in you." "No, Mom," I said. You believed in Vanessa. You tolerated me. There was nothing but static after that. I hung up before she could find more excuses. 3 days later, my publisher invited me to a high-profile charity gala. Celebrities, journalists, business moguls, all under one shimmering roof. It was the kind of event my mother used to drag Vanessa to take pictures for her social media. When I walked into the ballroom, heads turned. Not because I was famous yet, but because I looked different. Confident. Composed. Unapologetic. The navy silk gown hugged me like armor, and every step felt like defiance. Then I froze. Across the room, a familiar laugh. Vanessa. She stood by the buffet, glass in hand, surrounded by people from her firm. Her hair was perfectly curled, her tone loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "I'm not surprised my sister's getting attention," she said to a group of colleagues. "She's always been good at turning pity into publicity." I didn't move. My blood ran cold, but my expression didn't change. One of her coworkers noticed me first. His eyes widened. Vanessa, she's right behind you." Vanessa turned, the color draining from her face. "Avery," she stammered. I didn't mean." "Sure you did," I said calmly. "And don't worry. You're right about one thing." Her voice trembled. "What's that?" I leaned closer, my voice soft but steady. "I don't need anyone's pity anymore." The event host's voice boomed from the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote guest, the author of Through the Quiet Walls, Miss Avery Donovan." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Cameras swiveled. Vanessa froze, her fake smile collapsing. As I stepped on stage, applause thundered. I scanned the crowd briefly, my mother and father sitting near the back, expressions unreadable. 2 years ago, I began, my voice echoing across the hall. I applied for a job that I didn't get. I was told I wasn't cutthroat enough to succeed, that I was too quiet, too patient, too soft. So I wrote about it. Every word, every scar. And somehow people related. I paused, letting the crowd absorb that. I used to believe success meant making my family proud. But I learned that real success is when you can look in the mirror and feel proud yourself. Applause erupted. Cameras flashed. And from the stage, I could see it. My mother wiping her eyes, my father clapping slowly, Vanessa staring at the floor. After the event, a journalist approached me for photos. Behind the flash, I caught my mother's voice. "Avery, wait." I turned. She reached for my hand, voice trembling. "We should talk. Over dinner. As a family." I smiled politely. "Dinner sounds nice. Just make sure it's not the same night as Vanessa's next party." Her face fell. I walked out into the cool night air, heels clicking against marble, the city lights reflecting in my eyes. For the first time in my life, they were the ones watching me walk away. The night after the gala, I sat by my window with the city humming below, bright towers, neon lights, people chasing dreams the way I used to chase approval. Except now, I wasn't chasing anything. I was leading. The next morning, an email came through from my publisher. "Congratulations, Avery. Netflix confirmed pre-production for the series. Contracts attached. Let's discuss press tours next week." My hands trembled as I scrolled through the details. My story, the one no one believed in, the one written in the silence of a forgotten apartment, was about to become a show watched by millions. I closed the laptop and let out a shaky breath. That's when my phone buzzed again. It was a message from Vanessa. "Vanessa, Mom's really upset. She says you embarrassed the family at the gala. Vanessa, you could have said something nicer about us." I stared at the screen. My lips curved into a small, disbelieving smile. Then I typed back, "Avery, you embarrassed yourselves the day you made me feel invisible." The rest was just truth. No reply. That weekend, Harper and Lowell held a formal press conference to announce the film deal. The hotel ballroom was packed, cameras flashing, journalists lining up, microphones crowding the podium. When I stepped up to the mic, I didn't wear anything extravagant, just a simple white suit.
Clean.
Sharp. Untouchable. The lead journalist asked, "Miss Donovan, your story has inspired millions who've faced rejection. What do you want young women watching today to take away from your journey?" I smiled slightly, meeting his gaze. That silence doesn't mean weakness. It means you're charging your power. I learned that sometimes the best revenge is success they have to applaud. Applause swept through the room. Cameras flashed like lightning. And in that blinding light, I remembered every moment. My mother's dismissive voice, Vanessa's smirk, the empty seats at my graduation. They thought skipping my ceremony would humble me. They didn't realize it would ignite me. Later that day, when the event wrapped up, I walked outside to a drizzle-covered street, not heavy, just enough to make the pavement glisten. A black car pulled up beside me, the tinted window lowered. It was my mother. Her expression was tired, makeup streaked from what looked like tears. "Avery," she said softly, "can we talk?" I hesitated, but nodded. I slid into the back seat beside her. She looked at me for a long time before speaking. "I didn't come to your graduation because I thought Vanessa needed our support more. I thought she was fragile. I never imagined you'd do all this." Her voice cracked. I was wrong. I stared out the window, watching the reflections of passing buildings. "You weren't wrong, Mom. You just couldn't see who I really was." Her eyes glistened. "I see it now. I'm proud of you, Avery. Truly." For a second, I almost softened, almost. But the years of neglect weren't that easy to erase. Still, I nodded. "That means something. Thank you." Then she whispered something I didn't expect. "I wish I'd known how strong you were before I made you prove it." That one stung because it was the truest thing she'd ever said. A week later, Netflix released the teaser for my series. The tagline read, "Based on a true story, the girl they ignored became the woman they could never forget." My phone exploded with notifications. Friends, strangers, critics, influencers, everyone wanted a piece of the story. But I didn't post about it. I didn't brag. I didn't need to. Instead, I quietly booked a ticket to my old university. The same auditorium that once echoed with other people's cheers now had my banner hanging above the stage. Guest speaker, Avery Donovan, author and producer. When I walked in, students stood, clapping and whistling, the same way I'd once dreamed my family would. I smiled, blinking back the warmth in my chest. When I took the podium, I began simply. 2 years ago, I sat in one of those chairs, thinking I didn't matter because no one showed up for me. But you don't need applause to be worth something. You don't need a crowd to start. You just need conviction. The hall went silent, not from disinterest, but from every heart listening. And when the world tells you you're too small to make an impact, I continued, remember, even a whisper can shake the walls of those who underestimated you. Thunderous applause followed. And for the first time, I wasn't the forgotten one. I was the reason people believed again. That night, I walked out into the parking lot, holding the same folder from my graduation day. The same diploma, same folded corners, same worn name tag. Only this time, I wasn't walking alone. A driver opened the car door for me. Cameras flashed from the campus gates. My name was no longer a forgotten echo. It was a headline. I looked up at the night sky, a small smile tugging at my lips. "They missed one ceremony," I whispered. "But they'll never miss another." Then I stepped into the car and drove away, not as the girl who was ignored, but as the woman the world finally saw.